In this demo, we're going to have a look at how we can streamline collateral management in capital markets. We'll be specifically focusing on how we can automate the management and processing of margin call responses. Over the past few years, an increase of regulations in this space has led to a huge rise in the number of margin calls for dealer banks. A substantial percentage of margin call communication is still handled over email. In this demo, we'll see how Blue Prism and Reinfer can automatically triage communications, extract intents, key data, and information to drive automated processes. So let's dive in. Now, before we start, for those that are not familiar with margin calls, let's have a look at a bit of the context first. When setting up a brokerage account, investors are asked if they'd like to open up a cash or a margin account. A margin account amplifies an investor's buying power by allowing them to borrow money to buy stocks. A margin call occurs if your account falls below the maintenance margin amount. This is the minimum equity that must be maintained, which is typically set between 25 and 40%. This is a demand from your brokerage for you to add money to your account or close out positions to bring your account back to the required level. When a margin call is triggered, investors are generally notified by email and need to respond with one of three decisions. They can either fully agree with the margin call or partially agree with it, or they can simply choose to dispute it entirely. Here we have an example of a typical response from an investor to a margin call request. As you can see, these are highly unstructured and can have different formats and terminology. Investors send their responses to brokers who then, based on the investor's decision, will take the appropriate action. Here we have a Blue Prism digital worker actively monitoring incoming emails, extracting any attachments, and passing the body of the email through Microsoft sentiment analysis to understand the tone and prioritize accordingly. Leveraging Reinfer's natural language processing capabilities, we're able to identify and extract not only the investor's intent, in this case they fully agree to the margin call, but also the other key data such as monetary values and effective dates to enable Blue Prism to further automate the process. In this example, the digital worker creates a record in ServiceNow for traceability. Here they relay the pertinent information as well as the original request to ensure full context is maintained throughout the lifecycle. Once complete, they continue to automate the end-to-end full agreement process, essentially reducing a significant workload from the collateral management team. But what happens when it doesn't go according to plan? What happens with partial agreements, disputes, or situations where specific data is simply not available? In these scenarios, the Blue Prism digital worker creates, prioritizes, and allocates requests to the relevant teams in the dispute management portal. Here, the collateral management team can get a full view of their backlog of work. When they drill down into each item, they not only get the context of the request, but also a view of the insights provided by Reinfer.